The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. It came to every major radio observatory on Earth at the same time. Nobody was ready for it. Dr. Samantha Wright was drinking coffee in her small office at NASA when her computer began to beep. She looked at the screen and nearly dropped her mug. The pattern detection system had found something. Not the usual pulsar signals or cosmic background noise, but a clear, organized data stream. It was coming from somewhere near Alpha Centauri. "This can't be right," she whispered, but deep down she knew it was. After 15 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, they had finally found it. Or rather, it had found them. Within hours, the president called an emergency meeting. Samantha sat at a long table with military generals, other scientists, and government officials. Their faces showed a mix of fear, excitement, and disbelief. "Dr. Wright, please explain what we're dealing with," the president said. Samantha stood up. The message contains a mathematical introduction followed by what appears to be a translation key. Using this key, we've begun to decode their language. She paused. It's from something called the Galactic Council. They claim to represent 17 advanced civilizations. The room fell silent. Captain Alan Parker of the newly formed United Earth Space Command spoke first. "What do they want?" Samantha pulled up images on the main screen. "They're welcoming us to the galactic community, but their welcome comes with conditions, many conditions." She explained how the Council's message described Earth as a developing world that was almost ready for inclusion in their community. The aliens used polite words, but their message was clear. They saw humans as primitive. "The Council has apparently been watching us for centuries," Samantha continued. "They've decided now is the time to make contact because we've reached what they call a technological threshold." Lieutenant John Hayes, a military strategist with a reputation for seeing hidden threats, leaned forward. "They're contacting us because they're worried about us. We're becoming advanced enough to be noticed." Kate Miller, the top diplomat in the room, nodded in agreement. "The message has the tone of a powerful nation addressing the weaker one. There's respect on the surface, but underneath they're telling us to know our place," Captain Parker finished. The president looked tired. "What exactly do they want us to do?" Samantha brought up the final section of the message. "They've sent a list of requirements for our probationary status. They want regular updates on our technological progress, permission to establish monitoring stations on Earth, and access to our natural resources for what they call minimal extraction fees. They're not making contact. They're establishing terms of service," Hayes said quietly. The president stood up. "We need to respond carefully. Captain Parker, I'm putting you in charge of a response team. Dr. Wright, you'll continue working on translations. Lieutenant Hayes, assess any potential security threats. Ms. Miller, draft diplomatic language for our reply." As everyone left the meeting, Samantha felt a strange mix of emotions. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for generations, proof they weren't alone in the universe. But instead of the joyful exchange of knowledge they had imagined, they were facing what looked like a subtle form of conquest. That night, as she worked late in her lab, Samantha looked at the stars through her window. They had always seemed so peaceful, so full of promise. Now they felt like watching eyes. "We're not ready," she whispered to herself, but she knew it didn't matter. Ready or not, humanity now had the Galactic Council's attention, and somehow they needed to respond. News of the alien message spread quickly. At first, people panicked. Some rushed to stores to buy supplies. Others gathered in churches and temples to pray. But after a few days, fear turned to hope. Humans were not alone in the universe. The president went on television to share what they knew. "We have received contact from an organization called the Galactic Council. They represent 17 advanced civilizations. They have invited Earth to join their community." What the president didn't say was how harsh the council's terms were. Those details came the next day when the full message was released to the public. Samantha watched the reaction from her office. On her computer screen, news channels showed crowds in major cities. Some people carried signs welcoming the aliens. Others protested, fearing an invasion. Captain Parker walked in and closed the door. "The Security Council just finished reviewing the complete demands," he said. "It's worse than we thought." He handed her a tablet with the classified summary. The Council wanted Earth to dismantle 60% of its military forces. All new technology would need Council approval before being used, and Earth would need to accept alien administrators who would guide human development. "They're not inviting us to join them," Samantha said. "They're trying to control us. And we have 30 days to accept these terms," Parker added, "or face what they call containment protocols." Later that day, Samantha joined a larger meeting with world leaders connected by video. They argued about what to do. The Russian president wanted to refuse immediately. The Chinese premier suggested pretending to agree while secretly preparing defenses. The European representatives urged caution and diplomacy. As they debated, a message appeared on Samantha's tablet. It was from Greg Summers, an intelligence officer she had worked with before. "Need to see you. Found something important." She excused herself and met Greg in a secure room nearby. His face was pale. "I've been looking at historical data," he said, pulling up charts on a screen. "Look at these civilizations that collapsed suddenly in the past. The Maya, Angkor Wat, even parts of ancient Rome." He pointed to strange patterns in the data. All of them show unusual radiation signatures in artifacts from right before their fall. Signatures that match energy patterns in the Council's message. Samantha felt cold. "You think the Council has been here before?" Greg nodded. "And I think civilizations that refused their terms didn't do well." That night, world leaders continued their emergency meetings. Military forces around the world went on high alert. Scientists worked day and night to learn more about the Council and their technology. Lieutenant Hayes organized a task force to study Earth's defensive options. "If they can send messages across light years," he told his team, "imagine what their weapons can do." Kate Miller worked with diplomats to craft different versions of Earth's response. Some were friendly. Others were firm. None seemed right. 25 days before the deadline, Samantha was working late again. She was reviewing the original message for the 100th time when she noticed something odd. Hidden in the digital coding of the transmission was additional data. She ran it through a new decryption program. Her eyes widened as she read what appeared. It wasn't part of the official message. It looked like private communication between Council members that had accidentally been included. One line stood out clearly. "Earth's resources will solve our energy crisis for at least 3 centuries once extraction begins." Samantha reached for her phone to call Captain Parker. They needed to know the truth. The Galactic Council wasn't offering membership. They were planning to turn Earth into a mining colony. Captain Parker rushed to Samantha's lab after her urgent call. He looked over her shoulder at the hidden message she'd found. "Are you sure about this translation?" he asked. "I've checked it 3 times, Samantha said. The Council members were discussing how to divide Earth's resources. They specifically mentioned our rare metals, water, and something they call biological diversity assets. They mean plants and animals," said a voice from the doorway. Eric Daniels, the top cybersecurity expert for NASA, walked in with his laptop. "And possibly us." Captain Parker frowned. "How do you know that?" "Because I found more hidden data," Eric said. He placed his laptop on the desk. "I've been scanning all communication from the Council for encryption patterns. There's a whole secondary message system embedded in their transmissions." Samantha and Parker watched as Eric pulled up files on his screen. "They're not just talking about Earth. Look at these references to other planets." The screen showed what appeared to be reports on other worlds. Each report followed a similar pattern: initial contact, acceptance of Council terms, establishment of guidance centers, and then resource extraction that increased over time. "This one is from a planet they call Nevos," Eric said, pointing to one report. "After accepting Council membership, their mineral exports increased by 400% over 50 years. Their population decreased by 30%. "They're strip mining civilizations," Samantha whispered. Captain Parker studied the data. Every planet that accepted their terms ended up worse off. But what about planets that refused? Eric's face darkened. "I found references to those too. They call it containment. From what I can tell, it means orbital bombardment followed by forced compliance." Samantha felt sick. "So our choices are to become slaves or face destruction." Captain Parker stood up straight. "We need to tell the president, and we need options." The next day, in a secure underground facility, Samantha, Eric, and Captain Parker presented their findings to the president and the Security Council. The room was silent as they explained what they had discovered. "So the council has done this before," the president said finally. "What happens to civilizations that surrender?" "They become resource providers," Samantha said. "The council installs administrators who gradually take over governance. Military forces are reduced. Technology development is controlled. Resources are shipped off-world at increasing rates." "And if we refuse?" asked the defense secretary. "The pattern suggests military action," Captain Parker said. "Based on their technology level, we wouldn't stand a chance in direct conflict." The room grew quiet again. The choice seemed impossible. Surrender and slowly lose everything, or fight and lose quickly. "There has to be another way," the president said. "Do we have any advantages they don't know about?" Eric looked at Samantha, then spoke carefully. "Maybe one. In their communications, they seemed confused by some aspects of our quantum physics research. They mentioned something called human probability manipulation with concern. Our recent breakthroughs in quantum mechanics," Samantha realized. "They don't understand them." "Could that help us defend ourselves?" the president asked. "Possibly," said a new voice. Dr. Linda Wilson, the leading quantum physicist at MIT, had been listening from the back of the room. She stepped forward. "The council's messages suggest their technology is advanced, but follows predictable patterns. Our quantum research explores unpredictability as a feature, not a bug." "What does that mean in practical terms?" Captain Parker asked. Linda's eyes showed a spark of hope. "It means we might be able to develop defenses they can't predict. But I'll need resources and time." "You have both," the president said. "Whatever you need." Captain Parker, coordinate with Dr. Wilson. "We have 23 days to find a way to stand up to the Galactic Council." As the meeting ended, Samantha looked at the worried faces around her. Humanity's future hung in the balance. But for the first time, she felt a tiny flicker of hope. 20 days before the deadline, Captain Parker called an urgent meeting. Top scientists and military leaders gathered in a secret underground facility. The room was filled with screens showing data and simulations. "We need a plan," Parker said. "Dr. Wilson, what can you tell us about your quantum research?" Linda stepped forward. Her red hair was messy from lack of sleep, but her eyes were sharp. "We've been studying the Council's technology based on the data in their messages. Their weapons use energy patterns that are highly advanced but follow fixed rules." She touched a screen, bringing up a diagram. "Our quantum research explores something different. We've discovered that quantum particles don't just exist in multiple states. They can be guided into new states that follow no previously known pattern." Commander Peter Rodriguez, the tactical specialist who had joined the team, shook his head. "I don't understand how that helps us against alien weapons." Linda smiled slightly. "Think of it this way. Their weapons are like very advanced arrows. They fly straight and true. But what if we could make a shield that isn't just in one place? What if it could be in many places at once, or even redirect the arrows back to where they came from?" "Is that possible?" Parker asked. "Theoretically, yes," Linda said. "We call it Project Defiance. A quantum shield that could absorb enemy energy weapons and potentially redirect them." Everyone started talking at once. Parker raised his hand for quiet. "Has this been tested?" "Only in simulations," Linda admitted. "But the math works. We need to build a prototype." "How long would that take?" Samantha asked. Normally, years, Linda said. But with global resources and the motivation of survival, maybe 2 weeks. Parker looked around the room. That leaves us almost no time for testing before the council's deadline. John Hayes, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. Even if it works, we need a strategy. The council will have backup plans. We should assume they've seen resistance before. Agreed, said Parker. Commander Rodriguez, work with Lieutenant Hayes on tactical options. Dr. Wilson, you have whatever resources you need for Project Defiance. Dr. Wright and Mr. Daniels, keep analyzing their messages for any advantage. As the meeting ended, Parker stopped Samantha at the door. There's something else. The President has asked me to prepare a response to the Council. We need your help with the language. What kind of response? Samantha asked. That's what we need to decide, Parker said. Kate Miller is drafting diplomatic language, but the core message is still undetermined. Later that day, Samantha joined Kate in a small conference room. Kate had multiple drafts spread across the table. These all sound too weak, Kate said, frustrated. We either sound scared or fake-friendly. Samantha picked up one paper. What if we're overthinking this? The Council expects us to either accept their terms or beg for better ones. What if we simply refuse? You mean just say no? Kate asked, surprised. Why not? It would certainly be unexpected. Over the next 10 days, Project Defiance moved forward rapidly. Scientists and engineers from around the world worked day and night. Linda's team built a prototype quantum shield generator and began testing. The results were promising but inconsistent. Sometimes, the shield absorbed energy perfectly. Other times, it failed completely. We need more time, Linda told Parker after a failed test. We don't have it, he replied. The Council expects our answer in 9 days. Meanwhile, Samantha and Eric continued searching through Council messages. One night, while most of the team slept, they found something important. Look at this, Eric said, pointing to his screen. When the Council communicated with the Nevos civilization, they used standard protocols. But when Nevos tried using quantum communications, the Council's responses showed confusion. Samantha leaned closer. They don't just misunderstand our quantum research. They can't track quantum signals at all. This could change everything, Eric said. We need to tell Parker. As they hurried to find the captain, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The overhead speakers came alive with an urgent message. Multiple unknown objects just entered Earth's solar system. Estimated arrival time: 6 days. The Council wasn't waiting for Earth's reply. They were coming. The news of alien ships entering our solar system spread quickly. People looked to the sky with fear. Some left cities for the countryside. Others gathered in public places, waiting for more news. World leaders called an emergency meeting at the United Nations. Captain Parker, Samantha, and Linda attended through a secure video link from their underground facility. The Council ships will reach Earth in 6 days, the Secretary General said. We must decide our response now. On screens around the room, leaders from different countries shared their views. Some wanted to surrender to avoid destruction. Others wanted to fight, even if it seemed hopeless. What about Project Defiance? The President asked. Is it ready? Linda looked tired but determined. We've made progress. The quantum shield works in controlled tests, but it's not consistent yet. We need more time. How much more time? The Chinese premier asked. At least a week, Linda admitted. Maybe 2. The room grew quiet. They didn't have a week. They barely had 5 days now. Captain Parker stood up. We need to make a decision based on what we know. The Council has done this before. Civilizations that surrender lose their freedom and resources. Those that resist face immediate attack. What choice do we have? Asked the Russian president. If we cannot fight and cannot surrender, what is left? Samantha took a deep breath and spoke. There might be a third option. The Council expects us either to accept their terms or beg for better ones. Either way, they expect us to negotiate from fear. She continued, but what if we simply refuse? No negotiations, no pleading, just a firm no. That would be suicide, the British Prime Minister said. Maybe not, Eric added, joining the conversation. We found evidence the Council doesn't understand quantum communications. If we pair our answer with a quantum data packet, we might confuse their systems. Linda's eyes widened with understanding. And if we time it with the activation of Project Defiance, we might buy enough time to complete the shield, Parker finished. The debate lasted hours. Finally, they took a vote. It was close, but the decision was made. Earth would refuse the Council's demands. Kate Miller worked with Samantha to craft the official response. It would begin with proper diplomatic language, thanking the Council for their generous offer. Then it would deliver Earth's simple one-word answer, no. Meanwhile, Linda's team worked nonstop on Project Defiance. They installed quantum shield generators at key locations around the world. The technology was still unstable, but it was their only hope. 4 days before the Council ships would arrive, world militaries went on high alert. Civilians in major cities were moved to safer areas. Food and supplies were distributed to emergency shelters. 3 days before arrival, Project Defiance had its first successful full-scale test. The quantum shield held stable for 3 minutes before collapsing. It wasn't enough, but it was progress. 2 days before arrival, Eric and his team finished the quantum data packet that would accompany Earth's response. It appeared to contain technological offerings, but actually held triggers that would activate dormant capabilities in Earth's defensive network. 1 day before arrival, the UN Security Council met for the final time. The President looked at the tired faces around the table. The Council ships will reach Earth tomorrow. Our response is ready to transmit. Project Defiance is as ready as it can be. Is there anything else we should consider before we proceed? Samantha thought about everything that had led to this moment. The first contact, the hidden threats, the impossible choice. She thought about the billions of people on Earth, all waiting to learn their fate. I believe we're making the right choice, she said. Humanity has faced impossible odds before. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own wars. We'll face this together too. The President nodded. Then it's decided. Tomorrow, we send our answer. As the meeting ended, Samantha looked out a window at the night sky. Somewhere up there, Council ships were approaching. Tomorrow would decide the future of humanity. One word would either doom them or save them. Morning came. The Council ships had reached Earth's orbit during the night. They were massive, each one bigger than the largest human aircraft carrier. Telescopes showed 17 ships arranged in a perfect circle around the planet. In the command center, Captain Parker watched the main screen with Samantha, Linda, Eric, and the other team members. No one spoke. The weight of what they were about to do hung heavy in the air. Any communication from the ships? Parker asked. Nothing yet, said the communications officer. They're just waiting. The President's face appeared on a side screen. Are we ready? Parker nodded. Project Defiance is at standby. All shield generators are powered up but inactive. The message is prepared. Very well, the President said. Send it. Kate Miller stepped forward. She had worked through the night perfecting the message. Now she handed it to Samantha. You found the truth about the Council. You should be the one to send our answer. Samantha took a deep breath and walked to the transmission console. She placed the data drive containing Earth's response into the slot. Her finger hovered over the send button. For Earth, she said quietly, and pressed it. The message began its journey to the Council ships. It started with formal diplomatic language. To the esteemed representatives of the Galactic Council, we, the United Nations of Earth, acknowledge your communication and the offer extended to join your community. We have carefully considered the terms presented. Then came Earth's official one-word answer to their demands. No. The message continued with what appeared to be technical data, diagrams of Earth technologies that seemed like peace offerings, but hidden within this data was Eric's quantum-encrypted trigger code. For a full minute, nothing happened. The Council ships remained silent and still. "Did they receive it?" Parker asked. "Confirmed delivery," said the communications officer. "They're processing it now." Suddenly, all 17 ships lit up with bright energy patterns. Sensors showed massive power buildup. "They're charging weapons," Lieutenant Hayes shouted. Linda moved quickly to her console. "Activating Project Defiance now." Around the world, quantum shield generators powered up. The technology was still experimental, untested in real combat. No one knew if it would work. On the main screen, the Council's response appeared. "Your refusal is noted. Containment protocols initiated." The lead Council ship fired the first shot, a beam of intense energy aimed at North America. Everyone in the command center held their breath. The beam hit the quantum shield. For a moment, the shield flickered, absorbing the incredible energy. Then, something unexpected happened. The energy didn't just stop. It reversed course, following a quantum path back to its source. The Council ship shuddered as its own weapon's energy returned to it. Not at full strength, but enough to cause visible damage. Confusion spread among the Council ships. Several more fired, with similar results. Each time, a portion of their energy was reflected back. "It's working," Linda shouted. "The quantum shield is redistributing their energy." On the communication channels, frantic messages passed between Council ships. Their carefully planned containment procedure wasn't working as expected. Eric's eyes were fixed on his monitor. "The quantum data packet is activating. It's infiltrating their systems." The packet was designed to exploit the Council's lack of understanding of quantum mechanics. It created unpredictable patterns in their communication systems, causing confusion and disruption. "They're pulling back," Hayes said, watching the tactical display. The Council ships were increasing their distance from Earth. A new message appeared from the Council. "Cease your quantum interference. This technology violates galactic protocols." Parker looked at Samantha. "They sound afraid," he said quietly. "They should be," she replied. For the first time, someone is fighting back. In orbit, the Council ships regrouped. This wasn't going according to their plan. The humans weren't surrendering or being destroyed. They were resisting in a way the Council had never seen before. And it all started with one word. The Council ships hung in Earth's orbit, damaged but still dangerous. In the command center, Captain Parker gathered his team for an emergency meeting. "We've survived the first attack, but they'll try again," he said. "They have more ships and weapons we haven't seen yet." Linda checked the quantum shield data. The shields are working better than expected, but they're not perfect. Each attack weakens them. We need to do more than just defend. "What are you suggesting?" Samantha asked. "We need to take the fight to them," Parker said. "Show them we're not just resisting. We're fighting back." Commander Rodriguez stepped forward with a tablet. "I have a plan. We've been working on a prototype spacecraft with quantum drive technology. It's small, fast, and has the same quantum shielding. You want to attack their ships?" Lieutenant Hayes asked, surprised. "That's suicide." "Not attack," Rodriguez clarified. "Infiltrate. Our quantum technology confuses their sensors. A small team could approach their command ship undetected." Eric nodded with understanding. "And once there, we could broadcast the truth about the Council directly to all member species." The room fell silent as people considered this dangerous plan. It might work, but it would put the team at extreme risk. "I'll lead the mission," Parker said finally. "I'm going to," Samantha added. "I understand their language and communication systems better than anyone." Within hours, the small team prepared for the mission. The prototype spacecraft was called the Defiant, a fitting name for humanity's first interstellar mission. Besides Parker and Samantha, the team included Commander Rodriguez and 2 pilots. As they boarded the ship, Linda handed Samantha a small device. This contains all the evidence we've gathered about the Council's true activities, translated into their common language. It's set to broadcast on all frequencies they use. The launch was kept secret. As the Council ships focused on Earth's defenses, the Defiant slipped away from a hidden base. Its quantum drive left no traditional energy signature for the Council to detect. Approaching the command ship, Rodriguez reported as they neared the largest Council vessel. Their sensors show no sign of detecting us. The Defiant positioned itself near the command ship's communication array. From this position, they could hijack the Council's own system to broadcast their message. Beginning transmission, Samantha said, connecting Linda's device to their communication system. The broadcast went out to all Council ships, and more importantly, to all Council member worlds. It contained proof of the Council's deceptive practices, how they exploited worlds that joined them and destroyed those that refused. On the main Council ship, alarms sounded as unauthorized data flooded their systems. The Council leaders, members of the oldest and most powerful species, gathered in confusion. "What is happening?" demanded the High Counselor, a tall being with silvery skin. "The humans," answered another Council member. "They've accessed our communication network. They're broadcasting everything. Our agreements, our extraction plans, our containment protocols. Stop them," ordered the High Counselor. But it was too late. The broadcast had reached all 17 Council member worlds. Species that had been under Council control for centuries were seeing the truth for the first time. On the Defiant, Samantha watched as messages began flooding in from different planets. Many expressed shock and anger at the Council's deception. "It's working," she told Parker. "They're listening to us." Suddenly, the Council command ship fired on them. The Defiant's quantum shield absorbed most of the blast, but the ship shook violently. "We need to get out of here," Rodriguez shouted. "They've found us." As they prepared to retreat, Samantha noticed something unexpected on her monitor. Several Council ships were moving away from Earth's orbit, but not in pursuit of the Defiant. They were just leaving. "Captain," she said, pointing to the screen. "Look at this. The Council is breaking apart. Some ships are withdrawing completely." Parker watched in amazement. "They're not just fighting us anymore. They're fighting each other." Humanity's one-word defiance had done more than protect Earth. It had started a rebellion that was spreading throughout the galaxy. 6 months passed since the day humanity said no to the Galactic Council. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined. Samantha stood by a large window in the new Interstellar Diplomatic Center, watching ships arrive from distant stars. Some were Council designs, now under new leadership. Others belonged to species humans had never seen before. "Still hard to believe, isn't it?" Captain Parker said, joining her at the window. Samantha nodded. From fighting for survival to hosting the first galactic cooperative meeting. All because we refused to give in. After the broadcast from the Defiant, 7 Council member species had immediately broken away from the old Council. They formed a temporary alliance with Earth, sharing technology and knowledge freely. The remaining Council species retreated to their home systems, their 1,000-year empire crumbling in days. "The delegates are ready," Kate Miller said, entering the room. She had become Earth's chief diplomat for interstellar affairs. "It's time to begin." They walked together to the great hall where representatives from 23 worlds waited. Some looked almost human. Others were so different that special environments had been created for them. All had come to form something new. The president welcomed everyone. 6 months ago, we faced what seemed like certain doom. Today, we gather as equals to build a better future for all our worlds. A tall, blue-skinned being named Norus spoke next. His people had been among the first to break away from the Council. "For 300 years, my world provided resources to the Council, while our people struggled. We were told this was the price of galactic membership. Now we know better." One by one, representatives shared similar stories. The Council had kept them isolated from each other, spreading lies about how dangerous other species were. Many had believed they were the only ones being exploited. When it was Samantha's turn to speak, she kept her message simple. Humanity is new to interstellar relations. We have much to learn. But we know one important thing. True cooperation cannot be built on threats and lies. We refuse the old way. Now we must build something better together. The meeting lasted for days as they created the framework for the new Galactic Cooperative. Unlike the Council, every member would have equal voice. Resources would be traded fairly. Technology would be shared to benefit all. Military forces would defend, not control. On the final day, Linda Wilson presented her team's latest breakthrough, an improved quantum drive that could travel twice as far as previous designs. This technology belongs to all of us, she said. Together, we can explore farther than any single world could alone. As the delegates prepared to return home, Commander Rodriguez approached Samantha and Parker. The first joint exploration ship is almost ready. They're calling it the Unity. They want you both on the crew. Parker smiled. Exploring the galaxy instead of fighting for survival. I could get used to that. That evening, as celebration lights filled the sky, Samantha found a quiet moment to visit the memorial that had been built to honor those lost during the brief conflict. A simple stone displayed Earth's response to the Council's demands, that one powerful word that had changed everything. Eric joined her there. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we tried to negotiate or beg for better terms. We'd be mining resources for them now, Samantha said. Sometimes the hardest word to say is the most important one. As they looked up at the stars, neither felt afraid anymore. The galaxy was vast and still held many dangers. But humanity had proven something important, not just to the Council, but to themselves. When faced with impossible odds, they had refused to surrender. When offered a choice between comfortable servitude and dangerous freedom, they had chosen freedom. When the Council had expected them to beg, they had simply said no. And that one word had been enough to change the universe.